Hey everyone, today's video is for educators and other public servants who are still working and will be subject to the Windfall Elimination Provision and or the government pension offset at some point in the future. And for those who are tired of waiting on their elected officials to keep their promises and pass laws that would do away with these severe penalties. Today, I want to show you a way that you can get this changed. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm Devin, and this channel is all about giving you the information you need to have an awesome retirement. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell. Now, I say that just about every time, and it's about more than just growing my YouTube channel. I'm so thankful for the growth that we've had, but here's the thing. YouTube is like a massive ocean now. There are more than 300 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute of every day. And there's simply no way YouTube can show you everything, even the stuff you've subscribed to. So unless you subscribe and hit that notifications bell, you may never see this channel again. And we've got some stuff on Social Security that you want to hear. So there's a long list of legislation that's been introduced to either reform or completely repeal the Windfall Elimination Provision and the government pension offset. Legislation is typically introduced during election season, and then it dies in committee shortly thereafter. The closest that any bill has ever come to success was H.R. 711, which was sponsored by Representative Kevin Brady. Now, at the time, Representative Brady was the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. If a bill ever had the chance to make it out of the committee and onto the floor for a vote, that was it. So why in the world has it been so difficult for any of these bills to gain traction? Well, it's purely a matter of the numbers. If you look at all recipients of Social Security, only 4% are affected by the Windfall Elimination Provision and the government pension offset. So it may be time to start considering that this will never change legislatively. However, there may be another way. Forget the lawmakers in D.C. Instead, let's look at changing the rules at your local school district. Look, this video could stir the pot a little, and it may even end my potential for speaking engagements at school districts. And that's okay. I think that educators have a right to know that they have power at the school district level to get this changed. So in this video, I want to tell you how to get it changed at your local school district, and then how that could impact your future Social Security benefit. First, you need to know that the laws vary among the different states, and there are currently 15 states where educators do not pay into Social Security, and most of them can follow the same procedures that I'm about to outline. However, your state may be slightly different, but don't worry. I'm going to give you the contacts that you may need to help you figure out how this works in your particular state to get you the help you need and work through this issue. So the Windfall Elimination Provision and government pension offset only apply to individuals who have a pension from work where they did not pay Social Security taxes. Now, a lot of educators think that since they went to work at a school district that does not participate in Social Security, they are stuck with these rules unless the law changes. But what if you could start to participate in Social Security right where you work right now? It's possible. In fact, in my home state of Texas, one of the states where teachers generally don't participate in Social Security, there are multiple school districts that do participate in both Texas TRS and Social Security through what's called a Section 218 agreement. For the individuals in these school districts, the WEP and GPO do not apply for those years that they spend at the duly covered school district. So how did they get to the point where they are contributing to both? Well, in many cases, it came down to a vote among the employees where they decided to become covered by Social Security and Texas TRS. And you have that same option. Now, let me warn you though, it probably won't be easy, and you could meet some resistance from the administration, but in just a little while, I'll show you why it may be well worth your time to take on this fight. First, you need to know what you're getting into in terms of additional taxes. Right now, you're paying 1.45% of your salary to Medicare. If you start to participate in Social Security, that's going to increase by an additional 6.2% to a total of 7.65%. Now that is a lot, but again, in just a little bit, I'm going to help you figure out if it may be worth it. But your school district is also going to have to start contributing their part of Social Security, which again will be an additional 6.2%, and that's why you may meet some resistance. They're going to see their payroll expense increase, which may mean that they'll have to cut some future expansion plans or some other budget item. So be prepared. This will most likely ruffle some feathers when you suggest this. So let's talk about the actual process of how to get this to a vote. In every state, there is a state Social Security administrator. Now they're going to be crucial in getting this done, and I'll put a link in the comments where you can find the administrator for your state. But you may not have standing with them, so they may not even talk to you. Generally, they'll only talk to the administration. So first, you're going to have to convince your administration to set up a referendum to get this vote rolling. Now, they may do this willingly, or it may take a little convincing. But unless you get them involved, this will never go anywhere. Now, there are two types of votes you can have in most states. There is the majority vote, where the majority could decide on Social Security coverage. If passed, everyone would participate, and if it did not, no one would participate. And then there's the individual choice vote, or divided vote. Now, this choice is not available in every state, so it's possible that it may not even be an option for you. The divided vote is where only those employees who vote yes and all future employees will become part of the retirement system that everyone is already covered by, plus Social Security. And those who vote no would not be covered by Social Security, but just continue solely in that retirement plan like Texas TRS. So what would be the impact of gaining coverage through Social Security? Now, there's obviously a cost to both you and your school district, so would it be worth it? And understanding that requires just a little bit of background here. To get this background, you may want to watch my video on teachers' retirement and Social Security, or even pick up my book, The Hero's Penalty, on Amazon for a little bit of a deeper view. But I'll hit the high points here of the two provisions and then show you how to figure out how gaining coverage would affect you. So there are two separate provisions, the Windfall Elimination Provision and the Government Pension Offset. Now, the Windfall Elimination Provision is simply a recalculation of your Social Security benefit with a different formula than is used for everyone else. Now, obviously, this doesn't apply to you if you've never paid into Social Security because you're not going to have a benefit. But if you've qualified for Social Security, say from a previous job, it is maddening to find out that your benefit is going to be reduced because of your job in public service. And this isn't a small reduction either. It could be up to $463 per month, and that's in 2019. And that increases just about every year. That's some serious retirement income and would come in handy for most of the retirees that I've met. The sad part is that the reduction is not on your Social Security benefit statement. The statement shows your benefit as if your benefit will be calculated by the same formula as everyone else, and that's a pretty nasty surprise to get retirement started with. Then you have the Government Pension Offset. Now, this penalty does not apply to benefits from your work, but it would reduce instead spousal or survivor benefits, and in many cases, it would wipe out those benefits completely. Now, the reduction to this provision is equal to 2/3 of your pension. So, for example, if your pension is $3,000, they would subtract $2,000 from any Social Security spousal or survivor benefits before they were paid to you. So that's just a brief overview of those two provisions. Let's talk about how gaining coverage through Social Security could affect you with those provisions in mind. And let's get started first with the Windfall Elimination Provision. And after that, we're going to cover the Government Pension Offset, which is where I think the big opportunity is. The one way around the windfall elimination provision that works well is to accumulate what the Social Security Administration calls substantial earnings. Now, these are annual earnings of a certain amount where you paid into Social Security. If you have at least 21 years of these substantial earnings, the penalty amount from the windfall elimination provision starts to decline. And at 30 years of substantial earnings, the penalty amount goes away altogether. Now, in the comment section, I'll link up the Social Security page where you can find their definition of substantial earnings by year, and then you can look at your earnings history, even print that out, and check those off and see how many years you may already have. If you're in a district that begins to contribute to Social Security, you would start to accumulate these substantial earnings. And as long as your earnings were at or above the amount the Social Security sets, which is $24,675 for 2019, and that generally increases every year. So if you make that or above, then you're going to get 1 year of substantial earnings. And again, at 30 years, that goes away completely. So if you have previous work history where you paid into Social Security, it may not take but a few years of working for the penalty to not be applied to you. Now, the windfall elimination provision is nice, but 30 years is a long time, and you may not want to work long enough to accumulate those required years if you're not already close. But this next one is different. The exclusion for the government pension offset is only 5 years and could mean a much bigger benefit anyway. There's a Social Security rule that's known as the last 60-month rule. It says that you will not be subject to the government pension offset if you meet the following criteria. Work at a job where you contribute to Social Security for at least 60 months of employment, and that job is covered by the same retirement plan, so Texas TRS. This means that if you get Social Security coverage at your school district and spend at least 60 months there, the government pension offset should not be applied to you. So how much is that actually worth? So let's assume that your spouse has a Social Security benefit of $2,000 per month at his or her full retirement age. If you can sidestep the government pension offset, you would be eligible for a spousal benefit of $1,000 per month at your full retirement age. Assuming that Social Security has an average cost of living adjustment of 2% per year and that your retirement lasts for 20 years, the spousal benefit would pay you $291,000 in lifetime benefit payments. If your spouse dies, you'd be eligible for a survivor benefit. Using that same cost of living and life expectancy number, that would be $583,000 in lifetime benefit payments. I think this is where most of the current educators could have the greatest benefit to getting these rules changed. Now, there are those who say, is it really fair to get a Social Security benefit if you didn't work for it? And I understand why people ask that, but consider this for a minute. Instead of being a teacher, let's assume that you'd worked at some other job with its own pension plan. Well, in that case, you'd be qualified for a spousal or survivor benefit. Or if you wouldn't have worked a paying job at all and instead just managed the home, you could also receive a spousal or survivor benefit. So why should you be penalized because you chose to be an educator or some other public servant? I don't think you should. Again, since you shouldn't use this video as your sole source of information, I'm going to put multiple links in the description that'll help you and your colleagues evaluate these options for yourself. If you'd like some help in deciding how this could impact you, I or someone on my team may be available for a consultation, and just look for the link below in the description for that as well. One last thing, if you found value in this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching.